What up? Who says that anymore? I don't know. Like, what should I say here? What up? What up, though? Nah, that ain't it. Hey, it doesn't matter. You just need to stay tapped in because in this video, I'm getting ready to answer a controversial question. And I'm gonna try to answer it based on my understanding of what the Bible's got to say about it. And that's this. Should a woman approach a man she's interested in? Let's go. So listen, I want to get right to this question. I get this question regularly. I get this question so regularly. And I felt like, hey, let me just put this, I really need to do a whole podcast episode on this question. But anyway, I felt like, hey, let me just put this in video format so that it could be a reference for people who want to know my perspective on this issue. Now, the perspective I'm about to give you is mine. I'm not saying it's the perspective, but it is my perspective, and it is my perspective that has been informed by my understanding of what the Bible has to say about this subject, because people be asking, is it okay for a man, for a woman to approach a man? Now, I'm gonna tell you what I think about this. Right? Because there are people who are kind of in two camps and two extremes. And you probably want to know, Dharius, which one is right? I'm going to say both. Should a woman approach a man? Here's my answer. It depends on whether or not she wants to. Here's the question underneath the question, though. Is it inappropriate? Is it inappropriate biblically? I'm not talking about whether or not it's inappropriate culturally, because there's a lot of stuff that we could say. I'm not even going to get into that. Yeah. So we're not going to let what's appropriate culturally be the determination of what we do and don't do. But the question underneath the question is, like, for a lot of people, they feel like it is like biblically inappropriate for a woman to approach a man. And it's okay for them to have that opinion. I just think you're wrong. Does that mean a woman has to approach a man? You don't have to approach a man. No woman has to approach a man. You don't have to do that. If a woman's preference is, I'm going to be pursued, then there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. Here's the case where I think that view becomes problematic. When you take your perspective and you make your perspective a prescription for everyone else. Your perspective should be a prescription for your life, not a prescription for everyone else's life, if the Bible doesn't prescribe that. It's one thing if the Bible clearly prescribes that. I'm getting ready to show you, actually, that I think that's not the case. I am. I'm getting ready to show you. Because here's one of the things, guys. Here's one of the things. And this is what people kind of throw at me from time to time regarding this. Proverbs 18:22. He who finds a wife finds a good thing and obtains favor from the Lord, right? So that's the one they throw out at me. He who finds. So, and that's what people do. They'll say, hey, no. It says he who finds. I'm like, all right, so here's the first thing I want to say. Anyone, this is just my opinion, not my perspective. I think it's an informed perspective. All right. So anyone who, watch this, I want you to catch this, who says, all right, it says he who finds, anyone who interprets that simply to mean that the man is the only one that can ever do the looking is literally using grammar as a basis for biblical interpretation. That's scary. We wouldn't apply that logic, right? We wouldn't apply that. We wouldn't apply that logic anywhere else when it comes to biblical interpretation. Right. I'm not talking about, when I say grammar, I'm not talking about word usage. I'm not talking about the interpretation of a word. You're literally saying, well, it says he who finds. All right. Let's say that is the case. I'm going to take a little step further for you. It says he who finds a wife. So it doesn't say he who finds a woman. Wow. So this means you're not not you. I'm not talking to you, but it means that the person is not, this means a person shouldn't be the wife when the man marries them. They're a wife when the man finds them. It means that they already have wifely qualities, right? It means that they've got, and so when I say wifely qualities, I don't mean wifely potential, because of course a person's gonna have to do some growing, but potential is not always realized. Right? If you don't have a word from God and you marry potential, you roll in the dice. Because potential does not always become a reality. That's a fact, Jack. Listen to me. Listen to your boy. So I want you to check this out. It's dangerous to literally take the word find and make the word mean something it doesn't mean. He who finds. Find doesn't mean pursue. Seek means pursue. Pursue means pursue. Go after means pursue. But find means find. You find stuff when you're not even looking. I wasn't looking for a wife when I found mine. I was at an event in college. So listen. So the point that I'm making is, if a person says, I'm gonna be pursued, I'm not gonna do the pursuing, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. I'm not coming against that at all. I think that's your preference. That can be your conviction. It's just dangerous when you take that stance, you make it a prescription for everybody else, and you try to use scriptures like this to support it, because it doesn't. All right, and I think we play a little cat and mouse with these things. It's almost like we can be like cherry picking with these things, and like we can ignore evidence clearly stated in scripture that actually debunks an interpretation. So like Proverbs 18:22, using find and saying that means pursue, that's clearly a matter of interpretation, because the Bible doesn't explicitly say that. But I can give you an example of the Bible explicitly revealing a woman who positioned herself to be found. And her name is Ruth. So we often talk about this story with Ruth and Boaz, right? Yo, watch what happens here. Ruth chapter 3, verse 1. It says, one day Ruth's mother-in-law, Naomi, said to her, my daughter, I must find a home for you where you will be well provided for. Now Boaz, with whose women you have worked, is a relative of ours. Tonight he'll be winnowing barley on the threshing floor. Wash, put on perfume, get dressed in your best clothes, then go down to the threshing floor, but do not let him know that you are there until he has finished eating and drinking. When he lies down, note the place where he's lying, then go uncover his feet and lie down. He will tell you what to do. And Ruth said to Naomi, I'll do whatever you say. And she went down to the threshing floor and did everything her mother-in-law told her to do. So this whole story regarding Ruth and Boaz never happens. So you got Naomi, she an OG. She telling Ruth, that's a good man. That's a wealthy man. That's a man with options. So she says, and you are a good woman. You're a woman of character, quality, and virtue. You're the kind of woman he will want. But watch what she says. She says, I need you to wash. I need you to put on perfume. Get dressed in your best clothes. And she says, you go down to where he's going to be. So Ruth literally positioned herself to be found. It wasn't random. She was in pursuit of Boaz. Now, was she thirsty? No. But did she make it clear she was interested? Yes. This isn't See, Proverbs 8:22, that's a matter of interpretation. Ruth 3, this is explicitly described in scripture. So you literally have Naomi saying, listen, you need to get him. Yeah. She wasn't thirsty. She wasn't demoralized. She didn't demoralize herself. She didn't degrade herself, but she did appropriately what was necessary to communicate to him that she was interested, and she allowed him to make a decision whether or not he would act upon what she had given off. That's all your boy's saying. That's whoop, there it is. It's right here. So let's take Proverbs 18:22. Now take that and look at Ruth chapter number 3, verses 1 through 6. You could say, he who finds. Well, how did Boaz find? He wasn't necessarily looking. Ruth positioned herself to be found. So if she's the one that did the positioning, she was actually the one that initiated that relationship. It wasn't anybody in Boaz's life saying, hey, now Boaz had saw Ruth before, but it wasn't anybody in Boaz's life saying, hey, you need to go and position yourself. See, and I don't even really have time. I think I'm gonna do another video on this, because there are some Boazes, meaning men who are marriage material. So that's what I mean when I say Boaz, a man who is marriage material. There are some Boazes that are introverted. And here, introversion does not mean socially awkward. Introversion doesn't mean weird. Introversion doesn't mean weak. I'm an ambivert, but I lean more toward, ambivert, but I lean more toward introversion. So it doesn't mean weak. It doesn't mean soft. It doesn't mean not assertive. But some men have the personalities like, yo, I'm not going random, just running up on people nowadays. Some men have the personality say, you're gonna have to show me something to let me know you're a little interested. You're gonna smile at me. You're gonna do. Now I know some guys misinterpret signs, but that's gonna be a completely different video. But sometimes people miss out on Boaz because they assume Boaz is just supposed to come with no smile, no wave, no nothing. Now, here's the thing. I am not telling any woman, I'm married, I'm straight. So I don't have a personal interest in necessarily what's happening in somebody else's life. But as a spiritual leader who's getting this question a lot, I do want to make sure that whatever stance a person takes, you're taking that stance at least knowing what the Bible does and doesn't say about that stance. So if you're the type that says, I'm not winking, I'm not smiling, I'm not doing anything, the person's just gonna come to me, then there's nothing wrong with that stance. But if on the flip side, you're the person that says, nah, I might, if it's a Boaz, I might smile, I might stay in the vicinity of the place a little longer, you know what I'm saying? There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. That is what Ruth did, and it landed a Boaz. That, friends, is the Bible. So should a woman show interest in a man? If you want to. And that's on period. All right. Take care. Peace.